confidence in you. So
Okay, so then you move on to the third day.
third,
Finally, right?
finally
Okay.
moving on to third day. It's known as GTO.
GTO.
Yes,
Which-
ground task officer.
Ground task officer.
Okay, so GTO is an officer who basically. So there are three ethos of SSB: Mansa, Vacha, and Karmana.
Mansa, Vacha, and Karmana.
So
Okay.
Mansa is what your mental
Mental
ability is, which is basically psychology. Vacha is how you're speaking, which is basically interviewer, and Karmana is whatever you are thinking, whatever you're speaking, are you actually implementing that or not? That is basically your GTO.
GTO.
So yes, GTO talks about the overall karmana wali cheez and what all you are, how effectively you are using or implementing the ideas on ground.
On ground.
Yes. So it consists of several tests, and so first test is the GD, in which a topic will be given and 3 leads will be given to you, and you need to talk about those 3 leads.
Leads as in?
Leads as in like for example, if I say for India to develop what.
Okay, so basically they'll give you a topic sort of thing.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
a lead.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the examples is like for India to develop, what all thing you should think that India should focus on.
Okay.
So is it economic development, is it diplomatic talk, or is it military advancement? So these 3 leads are given to you.
And you can choose one and speak
you
on
need to
it.
speak.
Why?
Yes, exactly. So this lead concept is actually very nice because you get to have like a clear understanding of like what to
exactly
say
want
and
to
what not to
talk
say. So yes, 2 topics like this will be given to you. You need to speak for 20 minutes each. This is what GD is all about. The other test.
So each person gets 20 minutes in the group?
No, it's just like a normal GD.
GD for 20 minutes where everyone is participating.
Okay. Yeah, you need to have like a good point to discuss it.
Yeah. Whatever then how GD is conducted,
exactly.
Right? Whoever gets the initiating point, whoever concludes it gets a point. And whose thoughts are more clear gets a point.
Whose thoughts are like more unique.
Yeah, who's letting the other person speak as well. So all of these things are noticed in the GD, so it's like a regular GD. So 2 rounds of GD that takes place.
And the other test is the GP, which is group planning exercise, in which you will be given a map like structure, and you will be given a set of problems.
Okay.
And you need to write the problems and the solution of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order to, so the basic thing for this test is how you are effectively planning how you are effectively tackling those problems.
Okay.
So based on the map which is shown to you, those problems are given to you. You have to write it, and then you need to discuss it with your group mates as to how we will solve the problem. Yes. So how you are solving, what approach you are taking.
But what's the role of the map in this?
So it's like a very fictional problem which is given to you. So suppose there's this map which is given to you, and it just says, the problem says that you're a group of 10 dynamic people who have gone to camping, but these problems have arisen, these problems have arisen, and how are you going to tackle that problem?
Okay.
So it's a very fictional type of problem, very fictional. And you need to write the solution of the problems, like what all resources you will be using, if there's any walkie-talkie in the vicinity, if there is, how will you contact the police, how will you tackle.
So there's a whole map that is given, and then you have to tell what are the things that you can point out, this we can use, this is where we can go, and then you have to devise a plan according to that.
So we need to devise a plan as to how we'll approach to tackle that problem. What all resources we'll use, and how are we going to divide the group in order to tackle the problem simultaneously or not.
Oh, wow, how wonderful.
So yeah, one of the problems, like, it's a very very mind we can say mind bending problems as well. So like there's a group of terrorists which has come to your camp, how are you going to tackle that? if there's this overhead water tank which is overflowing and village is going to affect from it. So how you going to
Stop
tackle
it.
that? And there is no police in the vicinity. Even if you want to connect to the police, how you going to connect, because there's no Wi-Fi, there's no telephone lines.
Got it.
So these problems you need to say, you need to discuss it with your groupmates after writing the solutions of it. And based on that, the assessor is gonna assess that how many resources you've used and how efficiently
You have used them.
and what all creative points you've given. So assessors.
So basically, your problem-solving abilities is what they are trying to test through
Exactly.
this. Okay.
So resources versus efficiency, wali cheese. It's very common in army, right? So yeah,
That is there.
Yes.
So that is the third day, or do we have more tests on
Third,
third day?
no.
Okay.
We have a lot of like n number of
tests
in GTO. So this
Okay.
is only the second test.
The 3 GDs that takes place on the third day is the second test.
Yes. The GD is the first test. GP, that is group planning.
Group planning is the second test.
And the third test
Test.
is more of like a groundwork kind of test.
Okay.
So in which you've been given certain structures. And you've been given a plank-like thing with you, a bully-like thing with you, and a rope.
Achha, what is a bully?
Bully is like a rod
Rod.
kind of thing with you, and a rope. In SSB, it's known as bully only, and we address it.
Okay, bully only.
Yeah, it's known as
So
bully.
you're giving a plank,
A
bully,
bully,
and a rope. Okay.
And you've been given 4 set of structures, and you need to make use of that bully rod, bully, plank, and rope in order to clear that structure.
Oh, acha.
Yes.
So there is like basically a hurdle that you have to cross using these 3 things.
Yes.
Okay.
You cannot touch the ground.
And everyone is given a different kind of a structure?
No.
Same structure?
Same structure.
Okay.
It's just that we need to work as a group in order to solve
So this is
that.
also a group activity,
Yes.
not an
Anything
individual
and
activity.
everything in GTO is a group activity.
Group activity.
You cannot do anything individually.
So basically they're also testing your teamwork.
Exactly, that's the main point of GTO,
Hmm.
that you need to have like a clear consensus between yourselves.
So how big the group is? How
Ideally 9 to 10 people.
9 to 10 people
Yes.
in one group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we need to like implement our solution based on that. As to, we cannot touch the ground. We only have to make structures. We only need to tackle the structures with the help of bully, plank, and the rope.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, so it's basically that type of thing, like in a real life scenario in an army. If suppose there is this nala which comes, you can obviously not go into the nala.
You have to put a plank or
You
something.
you have to put some sort of bridge or some type of structure in order to cross it. So it's similar to that. There are sets of rules which is there, but yes, you also need to make sure that those rules are also not violated. Yeah, because that would be penalized heavily. And so these 4 structures are given to you, and you need to cross every structure or every hurdle based on these 3 resources that have been given.
Okay.
This is known as PGT, which is known as progressive group task.
Progressive group task.
Yes.
So these
and
are
as and when you move on to the next structure, it will get difficult.
More and more difficult.
Yeah, of course. So you need to implement your own ideas and get how many number of times you've given an idea and how efficiently it has been implemented. GTO also assess that. So the more number of ideas you give, the more points you'll get in the progressive group task.
Okay.
Yes.
Very interesting. So these are the 3 tasks that happens, which is the GD, the progressive group task, and
the GP.
The GP, which
Yes.
is the map-based activity.
Yes, exactly. Another task which happens is
There's more.
I am
Okay.
telling you, GTO entails a lot more tasks than the other 2 tests. And I think GTO is one of the major. If you are doing good in GTO, then you are fairly confident that you will get recommended.
Okay.
Yes. So also it gives us a sense of confidence.
Confidence.
Like, you can assess your performance based on the other person's performance.
Or other people in your own group?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you're basically, it's a group task, but you are marked individually in this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are marked individually. So, for example, if a person is very sidelined in those tasks, in the progressive group tasks, then obviously his or her chance of getting recommended is low. But if you are the person who's giving like more number of solutions and it has been efficiently being implemented, then obviously you will get this confidence, right? That you've given so many solutions and you have this sense of confidence.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the only task in which you get to interact with your group and assess your performance as compared.
I
to
think by
your-
the third day you guys are become friends also with the people you are
yes,
staying there,
exactly.
right? Because you have been going to the same audio, which seems very difficult for like 3 days in continuation. So by this time you must have made some friends.
Friends.
Okay.
Yeah. In the group, within the group.
Within the group,
Yes, exactly.
in different groups, and I'm sure at the end of the day everyone is discussing what happened, how did you, what topic did you get.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So all of that is there.
Yes. So other task which I was talking about is the GOR, which is the group obstacle race. So now this is more of like a physical work. So
On the third day itself?
Yes, yes, on
Okay.
the third day itself. So it's more of like a physical work that you need to do. So if you're like physically very fit, then GOR would be a cakewalk for you. But even if you're not, your group is there to support you.
Okay.
So there are like 10 number of obstacles which you need to clear as a group, and you are also given tent like folded material, which we ideally say snake. So it's also known as snake race.
Okay.
You need to carry that snake over your shoulder or over something as a group, and you need to tackle all those obstacles.
And build your tent?
No,
At the end of the day?
not build.
Just have to carry
the
the weight,
tent. Yes, exactly.
and cross all the hurdles.
Yes. Again, there
It's
are
like a relay or something?
No,
Nothing.
So
everyone has to cross all the hurdles.
Yes,
But your group can be supportive of each other.
So like there are 2 or 3 walls which we need to climb. So obviously anyone cannot climb a wall. We need to support our group as well. So the assessor look as how we are supporting the group, and also looks upon the fact that if we are liability to the group or not.
Okay.
Like for example, if a person is very physically unfit, then he or she can be a liability to the group. The performance of the group can be hindered because he's not doing the obstacles, he's not climbing the wall, he's not climbing the monkey crawl, something like that.
So basically, physical fitness is an important attribute
Very
in this
important.
examination.
After all, you will be inducted in armed forces, right? So
yeah.
Physical fitness is very important. And it's not for the JAG entry itself, it's for all the entries.
Okay.
So it's like
is BMI supposed is a criteria at any point of time, like in any screen of the screening
in
process?
these 5 days, no BMI. They do not look upon how unhealthy you, like how heavy you are, or they just look if you are able to carry your weight or not.
Okay.
But yeah, in
so
the
basically strength is more important as compared to your BMI, or maybe
your stamina is
more.
Exactly. Okay. Your BMI is actually assessed in the medicals after you get recommended. There is a medical test which goes on. So your BMI is actually calculated there. So it ultimately does play a role, and it will get in future, of course. So
physical fitness is.
But for recommendation purposes, they do not.
So then, does height also play a role?
Yes, obviously you got to have like a minimum 152 centimeters as a female, and as far as male is concerned, I think 157, 158 centimeter. Yeah.
So will this come in the eligibility criteria?
No. While form filling, none of the medical history is taken. It's just that after your recommendation, you are allotted a set of like medical examinations, and therein they see the minimum criteria as compared to your height, your BMI, as you were talking about. So based on that, they temporarily reject you based on the medical history.
So basically, it's not compulsorily, but it is preferred that you should have these physical activities. It's not compulsorily at all. This is not mandatory. There is a possibility that if you have the caliber and if you have the stamina that they are looking for, then you can qualify even if you are not of a certain height as well.
Exactly. So as far as GOR is concerned, because it's a set of obstacles that you need to clear, you need to climb, you need to slide down, you need to have like a balance of your body, because it's like set of obstacles. Like I'm talking about like proper obstacles. You need to climb up, you need to support your group member while also not losing the snake. So there's this rule that even if you're performing a particular task in the GOR, at least 3 group members need to carry the snake.
Okay.
So those type of rules should not be violated. So even if you're in hurry, even if you're in a race with other group members as well, you have to have like a clear understanding of those rules, and you have to have a clear understanding of your physical activities. So this is what GOR is all about. And the more a person is helping other in climbing up, or like for example in sliding down,
how much of you are an asset to your group and how much of your liability is something what they calculate.
Exactly. So one needs to be a very helpful person in order to because assessor, the GTO, he basically looks on that only, that if you're helping your group member or not, or even if you're not able to clear, how much of determination you have in order to clear that obstacle.
So basically, officer-like qualities, basically determination in like even if you are not able to do it, how many tries you
are given. Okay. Yes, and even if you are not able to clear that particular obstacle, are you asking for help? Because obviously giving help and asking help is also one of a officer-like quality.
Yeah.
So you're not hesitant to ask for a help from your group, because that's what army is all about, right? So yes.
So these are the GTO tests that takes place on the 3rd day, and now you will move on to the 4th day.
Yes. So ideally, 4th day consists of the elongated GTO task, in which the first task is the lecturate. So lecturate can happen on the 3rd day as well, based on the timing and based on the things that you've done. And there is another test which is known as half group test. It can also depend on the 3rd day. If that day has been elongated, then obviously it would be carried on in the next day. But HGT, which is half group test, it's similar to PGT only. There's only like one obstacle that you need to clear, one structure that you need to clear with half of the group.
Okay.
So like for example, your group is of 10 people, then 5 people will conduct that particular thing. So in that also, it's more like.
So does people get eliminated on the 3rd day?
No.
Everyone moves on to the 4th day, right?
Exactly. Okay. All 30 people moves on.
Okay.
So half group test is basically an idea to determine if like for example, if you are having solutions in the PGT, the progressive group task, but for some reason, because of the group's dynamic, you are not given opportunity to make more of a solution in that particular task, you can show your ability in the half group test. Okay. Because there's half group and only one obstacle to clear. So you can show your ability in that. So it's like they are giving you opportunities to show.
Second chance.
Exactly. So this is what half group test is all about, similar to PGT.
Okay.
And the test that I was talking about, lecturate, it can also happen on 3rd day or 4th day. But lecturate is basically how you're presenting a particular topic.
Okay.
So you've been given 3 minutes. It's more or less like elocution competition only. You've been given 3 minutes. You've been given 4 choices of the topics. One of them is an international level topic, like for example BRICS or UNSC, or something more internationally, India-China relations, India-US relations. So one of the topic is that. Then the other 2 topic is more or less national issue related, like for example CANRC or the budget or something like that, the next 2. And the 4th topic is more or less like a low level topic, which is very personal. Your best friend, your favorite pet, something like that.
Okay.
So you are given 4 sets of choices, and based on your understanding of a topic, you can choose either one of them and speak for 3 minutes. So mostly ideally candidates prefer like a international relations topic, because it would show the GTO that you know more about the world and other things.
Geopolitics.
But of course, if you're even if you're choosing the fourth topic or the personal topic, then how you're presenting yourself in that topic, that also matters. So of course, if you're having like a very good speaking skills, then you can present anything and everything. But based on your aptitude, you can present. So that's what lecturate is all about.
And it can happen on either the third day or the fourth day.
Yes, based
Yes.
on the day's structure. Yeah.
And
Then in the fourth day, then there is individual obstacles.
okay.
So now this is the only task in the group task in which you are doing or performing an activity individually.
मतलब physical task which is which
Exactly.
tests your individual capabilities.
Exactly. So you've been given 10 sets of obstacles
Okay.
and you need to clear everything based on your physical fitness actually.
And what are these obstacles? Like, are there hurdles that you need to cross?
Exactly.
And-
So yeah, there are sets of you have they are assessing you on the overall physical quality of yours, right? So there is one balancing beam, so you need to balance yourself. The zigzag beam. Then there is this one Tarzan swing, which you need to like climb to a platform
And then you
and
have
to swing
it
So
and
that
cross that
yeah,
puddle.
yeah.
Okay.
So that also shows your shoulder strength. Then there is this tiger leap in which you need to climb to a platform, jump from that platform and hold a rope and come down from the rope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as and when the difficulty of the obstacle increases, the marks of the points also increases. So like the one number obstacle.
But it's compulsory to do all the hurdles, like
No.
you have to compulsorily complete
No.
them. No.
No. So you've been only given 3 minutes. You need to make sure that based on your physical fitness, how you're accommodating. Obviously, the task is to accumulate as many points as possible. But then again, if your shoulder strength is not that perfect, if you are not able to climb up or something like that, then of course you can skip. But the aim is to accumulate as many
As many
points
points
as
as
possible.
you want.
Exactly. Then there is this rope climbing in which you need to climb up the rope, touch a particular touch a particular point and then come down. It's a 10 number obstacle, the highest point.
So how much weightage does the physical activities get over the other tests that have taken place? Is there a weightage criteria that we know about, or is this something completely discretion of the board?
So yeah, obviously, what I see is after these many recommendations, in many of my recommendations, I have not performed as physically captivating performance.
Okay.
But in most of other recommendations as well.
So does physical activities or the physical test has some kind of weightage as compared to other tests?
Yes, of course, it's a brownie point. But many of my recommendations, even if I've done like 3 obstacles or like 4 obstacles, not so captivating physical performance, I got recommended then. And even
Because you have performed well in other
other
tests.
tests.
So basically, there is no demarcation, there is no weightage that we can know as such. It's completely on the discretion of the board, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it obviously it adds a brownie point to your merit, overall merit after these performances.
Because it's an army examination, and
Exactly.
you are supposed to be
You're
fit.
supposed to be fit, but even if you're like slightly a weaker person, then of course in academy, in the basic training, you have to have you will get a good physical fitness
Training.
or like
Yeah, so
Yes.
that is not a criteria to get eliminated in the examination, because ultimately you will get training to get there, whatever they want.
Exactly.
Okay,
But of course, if you're physically fit, then that's an
that's
added.
an added point. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, these sets of obstacles, there are 10 obstacles, and as and when the difficulty progresses, the number of obstacles also.
The number of marks that you get for that particular
Exactly.
obstacle also
Exactly.
increases. Okay.
So,
So this is the fourth day
yeah,
where the
fourth day.
physical test takes place. After that, is there an elimination that takes place after the fourth day? No.
So throughout, after the second day, there is no elimination.
There is no elimination.
You only will be eliminating. You will only get eliminated after the 5th day, which is the conference. That is another test also. So yeah. So after individual obstacle, now there is this command task which the officers say. So in this command task, they see your leadership quality.
Okay.
So you will be called as a commander individually. The GTO will obviously interact with you a little bit, 5 or 10 minutes of interaction, just like normal questions, just getting to know you. Then he'll give you a set of a set of structure such as that we've done in PGT and FGT. Similar to that, a set of structure he'll give you. Then he'll also tell you to assess that structure. You as a person individually, you will be gone in the command task, and then he'll give you an option to call two subordinates of your choice. So
from your group members?
From my, yes,
okay.
From my group.
Or from your peers, because there are no more groups anymore,
no,
right?
No, from my group only.
For your group only,
yes.
Okay.
So they are known as subordinate. And throughout this command task, suppose I am performing and I called you as a subordinate. Throughout that performance, only I'll speak and only I'll command you.
And I have to follow.
And you have to follow.
So both of us are getting assessed on this task, or
yes.
only you are?
One by one.
One by one, both of us are getting assessed.
One by one, he'll call you as a commander. You need to choose a subordinate. He'll even ask you why you've chosen this person as a subordinate, and you have to give like a good reasoning. Something related to that, if a person is agile,
or you have observed something. So you have to be observant while the group task and assess other people also you're performing your task with, because ultimately in the 5th round, it is going to play a key role.
Okay. Exactly. So yeah, so this happens, and you as a commander, you will be giving commands to the subordinate. The subordinate will do as you are telling, as the commander is telling you to do. And yes, obviously there are sets of rules that you cannot violate throughout the testing. And you also, as a commander, you also have to remind them that those are the rules. You don't need to violate those rules. And yes, 15 minutes is given for this task, and within 15 minutes you need to solve that structure. Okay. Again, you will be given 3 sets of resources: balli, fatta, balli, plank, and your rope. And some or the other more structures, if what is the demand of the structure is. Some or the more resources you will be given. So you need to make sure you are using the resources efficiently, within time limit. Because most of the time, tying a rope takes a time. So how efficiently using the rope, if you're using a rope at all or not.
So will it help if you know how to tie different kind of knots and stuff?
Exactly, yeah.
So these are the kind of things or like tips that viewers can take from this episode and implement it in their preparation.
Yeah. So obviously tying a rope takes a hell lot of time, right? So the rope you've been given is very long. First of all, it's like 5 or 6 feet long. You need to tie that rope. You also don't have to touch your resources to the ground, because that's also a rule. So you need to make sure that you're not, just making it very efficient.
Okay.
So yeah, the manner you're tying the rope and what all knots you know.
So this is what it is called, a conference?
No, it is known as command task.
This is a command task. You were saying something that happens on the 5th day is the conference. That is the last class. Okay.
Between all these testings, there is also interview which is conducted. Now, interview can be conducted on any of these days, because interview hardly takes 45 minutes of your time, and based on your availability, because most of these tasks it gets over by it gets over by 2.
Oh, acha.
Yeah. So
these many tasks, like you told me, like there are like 5 to 6 tasks on each day.
Yes, because the reporting is at 5 a.m. So we've been working since 5
a.m. to 2.
Yes. So most of these tasks it gets over by 2, and the rest of the day is more.
You don't get a lunch break in between or something, or is that?
Yes, we do get, but it's more or less after 2 only.
After 2,
and in between they give us snacks, but it's as good as nothing. So yeah. So most of these testing it gets over by 2 p.m. and rest of the days.
Is there a breakfast in the morning? Because these many tasks must require some energy. Okay, so breakfast.
So we wake up at 4 a.m.
and then after
eat our breakfast, and then we go
report at 5.
Yes. So after 2, because most of the day is free, the interviewer conducts the interview. And yes, interview is itself a different process. 45 minutes of your time has been taken, and there's this a questionnaire that you're supposed to fill just after your screening happens. You've been given a set of like 2 or 3 forms that you need to fill, which basically determines what all resources you've been given and how efficiently you've utilized. So, like for example, if I come from a district headquarters, uh, so district headquarters of a state, it almost has every amenity, right? And based on my parents' earning, if I have utilized myself in that regard. Like for example, if my father is earning 3 lakhs per month, and I have done zero physical activities, I have done zero things in my life, physical or like anything, then I have not used my resources very efficiently.
Okay.
But at the same time, if a person is coming from like a village and very low income family, and he has utilized that resource very efficiently. He's been member of NCC. He's been member of several volleyball teams, so like several basketball teams and stuff. He has utilized.
So they don't assume that your starting point is similar. Based on your starting points, where you are in your life or what all you have done in your life and how you have tried to better your life is something that is assessed through that form.
Exactly. So this form is known as PIQ, which is Personal Interview Questionnaire. And yes, sets of questions are asked, like if your parents are alive or not, which city you're coming from, what is like the population of the city. So based on the population as well, if the city is very big, you have every kind of facility to utilize. You've utilized it or not. Some
basically you have exposure to like a lot of things. You could have
what all
taken
activities,
steps, yes.
what co-curriculars you've done, what all are your hobbies and interests, how many chances you availed of SSB, and which is like the one major sport that you have played and till which level you've played, and what group activities you've done, stuff like that. How much you've scored in your 10th and 12th, and what is like the outstanding achievement you've done. So these sets of questions comprises of a PIQ form, and based on this form, the interviewer asks questions. Okay. So interviewer can ask so many questions.
Is it grilling? Is it hectic, or is it like? No,
it is very grilling, because ultimately that person who's asking you the question, he is not from law background first of all. He is an army officer who has served in an infantry regiment. So like for example, if you have not scored good in 10th, we know that we've not scored good in 10th.
But he'll make you feel bad about it.
Exactly. And earlier we've never thought that this 10th marks would affect us that much. But in front
Have you not? I think when I was in 10th, I remember being like so concerned about it, like my life depends on it. If I don't get a 10 point
But when you were in 10th, right?
Yeah,
now you're over it.
Yeah.
And as in...
No, I scored good. But yeah, now I'm over it also.
Yeah, but now person is over it as in graduate entry. But he'll ask so many questions that you will eventually feel guilty that you've not studied in 10th class. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Another interviewer can be a very candid interview, is very chill, but he's like sugar-coated person.
So it depends on the interviewer to interviewer.
Exactly. So 45 minutes to 30 minutes of your time has been taken in this interview, and in which GK related questions is also asked.
Law related?
Law related is asked, but it's very basic.
Very basic.
Because that person also does not know what law. But if a person has like researched it, because he will be interviewing
law graduates,
yeah, he will obviously research upon it.
So this is the only place where your law knowledge can be tested, because other tests I don't think so has anything related, like even remotely related to law, like, or at least testing your law related knowledge. So even though this is a examination particularly for law graduates, it does not test your legal knowledge as much.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So you don't have to study or prepare, like you prepare for a CLAT examination over here. The only eligibility criteria or the law test they have done is through CLAT PG.
Only a very basic question as to what is the role of a JAG officer. Like JAG officer is more or less an in-house counsel
for army.
And And what is court martial? How is it conducted?
So basically, they have their own set of laws which they might be teaching you when you
yeah.
actually get recommended and
After like in the gradual courses.
yeah, in your training process
Training
basically.
process,
So that's why they do not emphasize a lot on law aspect.
Exactly. But
For them, the officer-like qualities are more important for in a person than law knowledge.
Okay, exactly. So yeah, basic questions are asked, and it's up to your perception. If you are handling interview very well, then all is good. But yes, interview process cannot be actually assessed individually as well, because we need to have like a clear understanding of how others' interview has been conducted, right? And yeah, so this happens. So this is like the whole 5-day process which happens. There is this another last task in G2 as well, which is known as final group task, which is similar to PGT thing. There's only one set of structure you've been given and resources, Balli, plank, and the rope. And 10 of us will solve that particular thing. This is only a confirmatory task, as in if the person has done very well throughout. If he is also doing good in FGT. But also it's also one of the tasks for other people to show an opportunity, because this is the last task of GTO. If a person has not done good throughout, this is the opportunity for that person to show if he is good, worthy of, So FGT is as important as other tasks, but it is not really, because by that time the GTO has already made up his mind who he is going to recommend or who is going to conference out that person.
Okay. So you get to know the results on the 5th day itself, or it takes some time?
So this is like the 4-day process, and the 5th day is the conference process. Conference has its own marks, but in the conference, the people are seated in a U-shaped structure, full round table, 15 to 20 people. They're just staring at you, and you are called one by one based on your number. You've been called one by one, and
wow,
yeah. So you are seated.
Sounds very fascinating.
It's actually, so for some people it's intimidating as well.
Of course, someone who has performed that task and now you're getting the results out. It sounds fascinating, but of course it is scary and nerve-wracking.
You've been you are called one by one into the room. You are seated. A person will ask you random question. Initially, when I used to go to conferences, because there were so many people who were seated, and there was this direct light which was on my face, I was not able to
see anyone.
Yeah, I was not able to determine who is speaking to me. So I was just blindly giving answers and stuff like that. So things like this happens a lot. So a person will ask you a question. He will ask you how was the food, how was the stay, some feedback.
How is the food there?
Some boards, it's very good. Some of the boards are very, very, like, I can vouch for
Jalandhar. Okay, Jalandhar food is good. Okay.
It is good. Yeah, so food, basic.
Yeah.
So the basic feedback they take, in case they have a doubt, you can also be a doubtful case for them. Suppose you've done exceedingly well.
For final determination purpose, if they like want to see something more, they ask those questions. Otherwise, it's by the time they have already made up their mind.
Yes, exactly. So suppose
you guys get feedback immediately from them? No.
We never get feedback.
Okay.
Even if I am conferenced out, I'll never. It's my introspection that will make a conclusion, and that is also very dicey. But from their side, they will never say you're lacking in which test. Yeah.
So in that conference, you get to know whether you are conference in or you are conference out. Basically, either you are recommended.
So one by one, if a person is like giving the conferences, we are then seated to a hall, and they then just call out the chest number. You've been given a chest number, right? So they just call out the chest number that these people got recommended. So ideally 5 or 6 people gets recommended out of the 30.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, the medical process also takes place.
And after that, depending on the vacancy, you get
the merit.
Merit.
Exactly. So after like 500 applications, or if,
Hmm.
like for example, 500 applications been shortlisted, only 5 or 6 people got recommended.
Oh. So now that we have talked about the preparation aspect, what are the tests, what is the JAG examination all about, and I would want my viewers to know, like, once you get selected, once you are training to become a JAG officer, what are the what are the pay packages they are looking at? What are the perks of doing this? Like, why so many people are applying for these examinations? What does the work of a JAG officer entails? Of course, being part of the army is one of it. Like, you, some, for some people that's the dream, right? But other than that, what is more, like, if you can tell some about this briefly?
So perks, as in similar perks as an army officer gets: free ration, liquor card, housing facility,
Okay.
your butler services, stuff like that.
So,
Major.
are you getting paid during the training period as well? After
Yes.
you're getting, okay.
So after the recommendation and the merit list happens, if I'm merited in,
Yeah.
based on the vacancy.
Basically, you started training now.
Yeah. There is like 1 year of basic training, and I get the same treatment as my counterparts in different entries.
Entries.
So
Okay.
like you are recommended from CDS,
CDS.
and I'm recommended from JAG. We will be undergoing the same training.
Same.
Training will comprise of anything and everything which an army officer does.
But like law aspect of it wouldn't be
No.
different for both of us? No, it will be
In
the
the
same.
basic training, it will be same. You will get to know the basics of the rifle shooting.
Because it's a combative position, so the training will be basically the same
It will be the same.
for any other years.
Camp structure, stuff like that. It is like 1 year basic training in Officers Training Academy, Chennai. And after the basic training, you will be given a set of courses to do. So after the training, you can either be an attachment to a regiment. So what an attachment does is, if this JAG is a service corps, right? So जितने भी service corps है, they get attached to a regiment,
Okay.
or an infantry, just to know what an infantry does. This is known as attachment. So this is attachment of 1.5 years.
Okay.
You are attached to that particular infantry, and you are conducting the same operation which an infantry officer is doing.
Okay.
So this happens, and after that you are eventually sent to Indian Military Law Academy, which was earlier in Kamptee, which is in Nagpur, but now it's been shifted to New Delhi. Okay. So yes, courses like this. JAG officers from 3 services, they come to this particular course. They do their basic training. After the basic training, they do the graduate courses. And however you're performing in your courses, it would determine that if you will get a short permanent commission later on.
Oh, acha, okay. So after the training also there is some kind of selection that does take place.
Exactly.
And how much are you paid during this training period?
So basic pay is that of as a lieutenant for entry, basic pay is 56,100, but based on your posting criteria. So suppose you are posted in high altitude place, like Leh or Jammu Kashmir, then obviously it would increase drastically.
Okay.
And it can go up to 2 lakhs per month.
Okay.
So based on your posting base.
Okay.
But basic is this, and added is the dearness allowance, is the housing allowance.
Yeah,
So,
the
yeah.
basic, like in any other entry, you
Yeah,
get
exactly.
those perks plus this is the base.
Base. So it can go up to 2 lakh per month.
Last questions I have for you is any myths that you would like to burst for our viewers about JAG entry?
So JAG entry is not a regular officer entry, law officer entry. It is your army personality that has been evaluated. So do not prepare much, even if you are not proficient in law. Don't bother. It's your personality that matters. And another thing is, even if you're not that academically inclined.
Yeah. So basically, this examination can be for people who after joining the law school or after joining a law degree or completing their law degree are now feeling like they are not interested in law and they want to do something else
More than law.
more than law.
Exactly.
So then this is a very lucrative option for them, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's about it. And thank you so much. I learned so much today, and I'm sure my viewers also would have learned something out of this episode. So yeah, see you next.